Hello, I'm Randy Price, and I'm happy to be with you this Veterans Day on behalf of Home Base. Why are we here at beautiful Fenway Park? Because Home Base is a partnership of the Red Sox Foundation and Massachusetts General Hospital. Home Base is a nonprofit with one mission: to heal the invisible wounds of war for service members, post 9/11 veterans, and their families. The program was founded in 2009 and today is the largest private sector clinic in the nation devoted to treating post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury, and other issues associated with the deployment cycle. The home-based clinicians are based at the #1 ranked Massachusetts General Hospital and affiliated with Spaulding Rehabilitation Hospital. They pride themselves at offering world-class care to veterans and their families at no cost to them, regardless of discharge status. The conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan have been going on for almost 15 years. America has sent nearly 3 million men and women to support the cause. When these brave warriors return, an astonishing 1 in 3 have invisible wounds of war. Even more shocking, 22 veterans die by suicide every day. The need for treatment is great. These conflicts are far from over, and that's where Home Base steps in. The treatment provided by Home Base is all-encompassing, not just effective, but life-changing. Just ask Kurt Power, a Pembroke veteran and one of the many Home Base success stories.
It was October 10th, 2005. I've been in country for about 3 months. It was during Ramadan. We were doing a reconnaissance mission. We were coming out of the recon of the building. We stopped 2 possible suicide bombers at that time. The whole thing was a setup. I got sniped. I knew I was hit, and I knew I was hit where he wanted to hit me. The round had blown through the side of my holographic sight and then into the side of my chest. I was fairly certain at that point, everyone's pretty sure I'm gonna die. My commanding officer's there, and he's holding my hand, he's talking to me, and I can tell he's trying to get me to stay with him, and he's trying to keep me out of shock. I said, "Sir, I know what you're doing." I said, "Today's October 10th. I said, Adam Vinatieri kicked the game-winning field goal, best kicker in football." And I said, and everyone, I looked around the room, and everyone was mortified, but I said, they knew I was gonna survive at that point, you know?
His wound earned him a one-way ticket home, a ticket he never used.
And they said, basically, thank you for your service. And I said, with all due respect, everyone's dying. I'm not going anywhere. And I checked myself out of the hospital.
He fought in country for 8 more months. Then his next battles began.
The scariest moment of my entire deployment was coming home. And I remember just being completely kind of removed from the moment and just thinking, what am I doing back here? I never thought I would make it. Therefore, I never thought I'd have to transition back to the civilian world. And it just scared the hell out of me. It really did.
Kurt's story of survival in Iraq was remarkable. His struggle returning home, all too common.
We often see those wonderful reunion scenes where everyone is so excited to be back together and there are hugs all around, and of course everyone is so relieved when a loved one returns healthy, alive, present. But then what follows is what occurs not in front of the camera.
I was waking up in cold sweats. I was having reoccurring dreams. I said, well, the best way to deal with it is I'll just pretend it doesn't bother me. You know, if I don't acknowledge it, nobody else has to worry.
Of course, they did.
I noticed like he was feeling down or didn't want to talk. Like I wouldn't know what to say, where to even begin. So I kind of just avoided it, and it just becomes a way of life.
To say Kurt threw himself into veterans-related charity work would be an understatement. Weekends were given up to fundraisers, road races, and other events. Somebody had to do it. And Kurt knew plenty of vets who never would have the chance.
Just such overwhelming survivor guilt. Memorial Day became tougher. Veterans Day became tougher. My Alive Day as a Purple Heart recipient became tougher. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get through it by myself.
One of the events he participated in was the Run to Home Base.
I had done the run a few years back. Apparently I didn't know it pertained to me, you know? Apparently everybody else did, but I was completely unaware.
Kurt finally made the phone call, and on the other end, as there always is at Home Base, was another combat vet.
I talked to another veteran, you know, another Purple Heart recipient, heavy combat vet. Great guy, couldn't have been any more receptive, helped me set everything up, and I felt immediately like I'd come to the right place.
That's the most powerful part of all of this. It's that we know that once we can get somebody in, that if they're willing to meet us halfway, treatment works.
Kurt began his one-on-one sessions at home base. Then Jess was invited to begin couples counseling.
So I thought I was just there for emotional support, but it really got down to like how my perspective was and making him see how it can affect others.
They dealt directly with me and my issues from the war, but they also dealt with my issues from the war and how they pertain to Jessica.
And our issues.
And our issues as far as how that affected everyday life.
These warriors have, gone through some very challenging things in their lives, and by coming here and learning the tools that's going to help them to make those changes, there's tons of hope for the future for them.
My survival didn't mean that, someone else didn't make it. And I had never thought of it that way because I had never talked about it.
He wasn't emotional back then. Not that he's a big sap now, but he's a completely different person.
Kurt Power found the hope that every returning veteran deserves, the hope that too many have still yet to find.
There are many people, our brothers and sisters, who have done so much for us and have come back changed as a result. We have to do our best for them.
When you recognize that today 22 veterans commit suicide, and yesterday 22 veterans committed suicide, and tomorrow 22, these folks deserve better.
When you raise your right hand and basically sign a contract that you're willing to give up into your life for the defense of the nation. So we get that. I guess more troubling for me is when we lose soldiers back home. That wasn't part of the agreement. That's not part of the mandate, and it's not necessary.
It is why Homebase has decided to create a National Center of Excellence, and why they developed a 2-week intensive clinical program for veterans who live beyond Homebase's current borders.
That will allow veterans from as far away as Alaska to be able to come to Boston and get the very best care that they could possibly have. There needs to be more of Homebase for our veterans, and that need is not fulfilled right now.
10 years ago, Sergeant Kurt Power sat on a field hospital bed and said, "With all due respect, I'm not going anywhere." His message now? Follow my footsteps.
I hope that someone sees this and it convinces them to get help. I can tell you that you can get help, and like I said, I wish I did sooner.
Homebase is entirely philanthropically funded. Right now and through 9 o'clock tonight, staffers are standing by to accept your donation to help support this program. Every donation counts. No amount is too small. What better way to say thank you for your service on Veterans Day? There are several ways you can contribute. You can call the phone bank toll-free 877-704-8387. Or you can text to give by texting veterans to 91999, upper lowercase, texting doesn't matter. And you can contribute online at homebase.org/donate. Something Homebase patients say over and over is that when they come to the clinic, they feel like the staff gets it. The clinicians are specifically trained in military culture. Homebase even has veterans on staff that serve as the first point of contact for anyone new coming in. One of those patients is from the South Shore, U.S. Marine Corps veteran Brett Cassevant. Stephanie Lydon has his story.
For some people, golf is a passion. But for Brett Cassevant, this is just for fun. What really matters to him is his wife, his 2 kids, and his time as a U.S. Marine.
I was in the Marine Corps for 6 years, 2 months, 23 days.
He signed up shortly after graduating Weymouth High School and was still in boot camp in Jacksonville, North Carolina, when he and his high school sweetheart married. Their wedding was featured on the TV show Inside Edition. Brett and his wife would not see each other again for nearly a year.
It was within a year of me enlisting that I found out I was going to Iraq.
It was 2003, the beginning of the war in Iraq. Brett went weeks without being able to call his wife, so he made his own cardboard postcards to send home.
We still have them, just my postcard saying, "I'm alive, don't worry."
Brett did come home, alive and well, but within months, he was back in Iraq.
We'd get bombed while we were sleeping. We'd have like artillery and mortars and rockets land, just feet from us as we were sleeping. And the only thing that saves your life is a cement wall, a Jersey barrier. You can't drop, your guard. You have to be constantly alert.
And then came the moment that changed his life. Brett struggles to remember it clearly.
There was about to be an explosion, I remember that. And I jumped, it's kind of cloudy, a house, wall, something like that. So I jumped.
He would spend the rest of that tour of duty hospitalized while his unit continued to fight.
I felt like a complete failure. We lost so many Marines, guys I knew, and guys I thought were kids comparatively. I mean, we were 22 and they were 19. They were kids to me, being killed, and it just felt horrible.
That sense of battlefield failure and fear followed him home.
You're looking at everybody and everything differently. Driving down the road, you see a piece of trash on the side of the road and you veer away from it, just because we're so used to IEDs on the side of the road. I felt helpless and confused. All the Marines felt the same way, and I just didn't know how to fix myself. I didn't know how to fix them. And then, I have my wife who's trying to figure me out as well.
How does your wife describe what it was like to live with you when you came home from Iraq?
She said I married somebody else. She married a different Brett, a different man.
It got so bad that a physical therapist treating his back injury told him
I should go to the mental health clinic. So I went there and they said I had PTSD, and I'm like, no, that's like the four-letter word that no one likes to say. It's like, I don't have that, I'm a tough guy, I'm a Marine.
And then another blow. The Marines determined his back injuries were too serious to allow him to continue to serve.
I was lost, I was just like, I went from being a machine gunner in the Marine Corps and a combat instructor to, having no job and collecting unemployment. It was just, I was going crazy. And luckily at the same time, I heard about the home base program.
It was unlike any other place he had gone for treatment, and he knew, finally, he was going to get the help he needed.
They didn't put pressure on me to meet any of their goals, so I was like, okay, this is great. I just felt so relieved. I was like, going in there, I just felt relieved, because I knew things were going to get better for me.
He says the home base staff made it easy for him, scheduling appointments to fit his schedule, encouraging him to bring in his family, and perhaps most important, offering him a choice of treatments.
I'm proud to be a veteran, proud to be a Marine, but it's just to care about me because I'm me. That felt better.
And he says validating to realize the stress, headaches, even memory loss that so profoundly impacted his personality are more than coincidence. They are war's invisible injuries.
Veterans do need care, whether they know it or not. Veterans can get better and get the help that they need and deserve.
You can help veterans who are suffering from the invisible wounds of war get the care they need and deserve. This is your chance right now. The phone lines are open. You can call 877-704-8387 to make a donation to Home Base, a nonprofit partnership of the Red Sox Foundation and the #1 ranked Massachusetts General Hospital. You can also text to give by texting veterans to 91999. Upper lowercase texting doesn't matter. And you can contribute online at homebase.org/donate.
On this Veterans Day, let's all take a moment to thank the service members and veterans in our lives. They have given so much for our freedom and security. And let's recommit ourselves to supporting our nation's veterans through great causes like this.
Northeastern University has been a longtime champion for Home Base and the services they provide. The school also collaborates with Homebase on their Warrior Health and Fitness program, a free 6-month program focusing on wellness. Just another way Homebase treats veterans holistically. Gary Gillis has more.
Just roll all the way through the length of that lat, right about to the mid-ribs.
Ryan Vanderwheat is not a drill sergeant. He is a veteran, a trainer, and coordinator for Warrior Health and Fitness.
There you go.
Today, it's not about getting these vets in shape to fight. It's about getting back into shape, period.
And back up. So far, everybody is pretty much on the same page. They kind of, get out. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They're let themselves go, and they just want to get back in shape. They want to feel better. That's why they're here. And this is a great place to do that, because while we are centered on fitness, really behind the scenes, we're trying to create that sense of community and camaraderie that we once had in the military. Okay, that's good.
The camaraderie part of it, just hanging out around other vets, people that know what you're all about. You guys can kind of relate, so it's like there's no judgment. They know you're a vet, they're vets, so you kind of respect each other, mutual respect, you exchange stories, and then just have fun working out. It's a great time.
Breathe. Good.
For fellow vet Andrew McCarty, it's a short walk from his office as Director of Veteran and Military Services at Northeastern. He joined this 6-month program for the long-term benefits.
In the military, we have to be ready for whatever the enemy throws at us. You get out, and the enemy is everyday life. It's the stresses of your job, of higher ed, of family life. And if you're not maintaining that level of physical fitness that you had before, you're affected more by those stresses.
Bring it up, put the chest.
Warrior Health and Fitness at Northeastern is a recent addition to the home-based service offerings. It grew out of a highly successful pilot program at Florida Gulf Coast University, spearheaded by retired General Fred Franks. Physical training is just one component of this comprehensive wellness program. Vets also have access to a mental skills coach as well as a nutritionist. That's important when you now have to think about how you're fueling your body.
You kind of miss the military sometimes because, you get your broccoli, you get chili, all this stuff, but then at home, no, really, it's pizza night, it's pizza night.
However you slice it, these warriors will leave the gym with a sense of accomplishment and return with the common goal to support each other. No drill sergeant necessary.
No, not quite. We're not here to beat you in the ground and get you back there. You've already been through that. You only need to go through that once. There's no reason to do it twice. They already paid their dues.
I'm Charlie Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. In addition to providing top-notch clinical care, Homebase trains health professionals across the nation to be able to recognize and treat those invisible wounds of war. They also conduct cutting-edge research, ensuring a brighter future for the next generation of servicemen and women. Our veterans and military families deserve the kind of world-class, holistic care that Homebase provides, and I'm proud to support this worthy organization, and I urge others to do the same. Thank you.
I'm Randy Price. We're inside historic Fenway Park, home of the Boston Red Sox. Through the Red Sox Foundation, the team supports 5 major charitable organizations, one of them being Homebase, a partnership of the Red Sox Foundation and Massachusetts General Hospital. Homebase works to heal the invisible wounds of war for returning servicemen and women and their families. The care provided by the program has garnered lots of attention from grateful patients, community leaders, politicians, and local celebrities who have seen the difference this nonprofit program can make. One of those supporters is local radio personality Mistress Carrie.
Mistress Carrie reporting for duty on an absolutely beautiful day.
My relationship with the military and military charities goes back a long way. I grew up in a military family, and after 9/11, I started working a lot with soldiers that were getting deployed, sending out care packages. I made a couple trips overseas and was embedded as a journalist with soldiers from Massachusetts.
Hi, it's Mistress Carrie, outside the city limits of Kabul in Afghanistan.
It was really kind of interesting to be taken amongst their ranks, go out on missions with them. And while I was overseas, I promised them that when they came home and were kind of back on my turf, that I would take care of them the way that they took care of me overseas. When I got home, I really started getting involved with a lot of military-based charities and organizations that were not only taking care of the soldiers while they were deployed, but also making sure they had everything they needed once they came home. Hey, it's Mistress Carey, and I'm here in Afghanistan. The first thing I started to do getting involved was seeking out organizations that I had heard great things about. And the home base program, as soon as I heard about the partnership between Mass General Hospital, who I have a very personal relationship with, and the Red Sox Foundation, I got involved right away. So the first run to home base, I was like, I want to run, I want to be part of this. I've got this brotherhood, this relationship, this trust, this bond with them. I'm fortunate enough to be able to make connections, whether that be planning events just to get the guys to hang out together on the weekends and go fishing, shooting, or motorcycle riding. But when there's a real need for clinical care, I've sent many people to the home base program, and I know that it's helped. The home base program does so many things right. They've found a way to treat the soldier, treat the soldier's family. They've found a way to do it and remove the stigma of that treatment because it's outside of the bounds of the military itself. They're also showing clinicians around the country how this treatment works and how to treat the veterans that are in their communities. They're helping clinicians nationwide and worldwide to stop this problem from getting any worse, and hopefully someday it won't be a problem at all. The people that they have working their outreach, they're veterans themselves. So it's not people that are disconnected that think they understand. These are people that have been there, they understand, and they want to help their fellow veterans. And they can make so much happen with the donations that they get. They're completely privately funded. I'm in awe at their staff. They literally are saving lives every day.
When you hear this, an Iraq or Afghanistan veteran with post-traumatic stress may hear this. When you hear this, a veteran with PTSD can hear this. When you hear this, a veteran with PTSD can hear this. Veterans with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury can get the help they need at the Red Sox Foundation and Massachusetts General Hospital Home Base Program. Your donation helps them and their families recover. Please give generously at helpathomebase.org. Because when a veteran hears this, they should hear this. Home Base. No one should be left behind.
You're watching Home Base's Veterans Day special. Hello, I'm Randy Price. On behalf of Home Base, a partnership of the Red Sox Foundation and Massachusetts General Hospital. Since 2009, Home Base has been a safe place for veterans and their families to heal and reclaim the lives they once had. Home Base provides regional, outpatient, clinical care for veterans and their families. They also operate an intensive 2-week clinical program, allowing them to treat veterans who come in from across the country. Home Base conducts cutting-edge research. They train community clinicians on how to recognize and treat the invisible wounds of war, and they focus on the family, providing guidance for all military-connected families and tools for educators and community members to promote understanding and support for military children. This Veterans Day, many of us say, thank you for your service. But by supporting Home Base, we can give back to those who have given so much to support our freedom.
The statistics are staggering. 1 in 3 returning veterans has an invisible wound of war. 22 veterans die by suicide every day.
Traumatic stress reactions are universal. They happen to everybody. What's unique about our military is that they are in situations all the time that are conducive to that.
When a trauma happens, our body may respond in a very powerful way that is about survival. The problem can develop when we start to respond to something that's not actually dangerous.
Since September 11th, 2001, nearly 3 million men and women have answered the call to duty and deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan.
People in this country have varying opinions about the wars we've been in recently, but everyone is incredibly grateful for the young men and women who have sacrificed so much.
They've sacrificed everything for America's security, and they're returning home after leaving their loved ones behind for multiple 12 to 18-month tours. But their battle is far from over.
When they come home, everybody sees the celebration, and then it's out of everyone else's mindset. And sometimes, if there are going to be readjustment issues, those things are happening, a few months, a year, maybe several years down the line.
From the impact of the explosions to witnessing the ravages of war itself, these experiences have a long-lasting impact on a person's well-being. And the challenge of the warrior ethos is that they will not often seek help.
There's still this idea that if you're tough, that you wouldn't ever need this. But from what I see, the real tough people are the ones who say, I gotta man up and get help for this because I can't do it alone. And I think that we have to have a new idea of what tough is.
I was deployed to Iraq in 2003 to 2004. I thought it was something I needed to do, that the country needed from me, and I was happy to answer that call. I was a combat medic. I was on the front line with the troops, going on missions. In our area of operation, there was a lot of buried weapons and munition caches that the Hussein regime had buried prior to the war. We would collect up all these, and then we would have a controlled detonation to destroy all of these munitions. There was one day where there was a detail going on, and there was a group of soldiers from our troop who were offloading it into a demo pit, and one of the rounds prematurely exploded. All you could hear was medic. And when that happens, you don't even think. It's like instantaneous. We just went all bolting out the door, and you could see black pillars of smoke. You could see broken pieces of 82 millimeter mortar everywhere. We had 9 injured in the matter of that. Our EOD specialist was instantaneously killed. One of the best liked and most well-liked members of our troop, my best friend, was thrown off the vehicle, and he was covered in head to toe with shrapnel, burnt flesh, burnt hair. Unfortunately, he passed away during the medevac flight to Mosul. Within a week, I had horrible survivor's guilt. You just beat yourself up over it all the time. You try to replay everything in your head, even though it's impossible with everything going on. You think, if I had done a medical intervention differently, would he have been alive today? It was probably like maybe a year and a half after we got back from Iraq when I started realizing, there could be something wrong. I gave off this sort of aura that, I don't want to be bothered. And then, you go home and you drink till your face falls off with the light off, and, your parents, they know something's wrong, but, they're too afraid to say anything. And it got to a point where, it really started to bother me when people, would say, I can't sleep at night because we don't know if we're going to wake up the next morning, you're going to be alive or dead. That's how bad it got when I was itinerizing a suicide. And that's when I'm like, oh, okay, I need to do something about it. If Kelly had walked away and said, I can't do this anymore, back then I probably wouldn't have blamed her, but I think she saw somebody in there that, was worth being with, and she loved me. And, people talk about, running into that explosive area in Sinjar, and wow, that was a pretty brave thing, but it doesn't even compare to just taking that first step and going to get help, because that was tougher, I thought. bringing myself into home base and acknowledging that things aren't right, this isn't the way things should be for you, and this isn't the way life should carry on, was probably the bravest thing I did for myself. Well, Kelly and I started dating in 2010. She was my girlfriend now. Now we're happily married. We got married about 5 days ago. I don't know if that'd be possible without going through the home base program. I left to go to Iraq over 10 years ago, and it finally feels like I'm home now.
Home base is entirely philanthropically funded. Right now and through 9 o'clock tonight, staffers are standing by to accept your donation to help support this program. Every donation counts. No amount is too small. There's several ways you can help. Call the phone bank toll-free 877-704-8387. Or you can text to give by texting veterans to 91999. Upper lowercase texting doesn't matter. And you can contribute online at homebase.org/donate.
I want to thank the Red Sox Foundation and the Massachusetts General Hospital Home Base Program for hosting the 3rd annual Mission Gratitude event. Your compassion and your support has helped more than 7,500 veterans and their families receive the proper care, healing, and the treatment that's needed. Our military is strong. We're well-trained, well-equipped, well-led, and we're a disciplined combat seasoned force that will answer the nation's call anywhere, anytime, against any foe, as we have done for the last 240 consecutive years. And when we come home, we will remain strong thanks to organizations like yours who help our wounded warriors when they need it most.
When the wounded warriors attending tonight's event redeployed home, their fight didn't end, but rather their battle of dealing with a life-changing injury had just begun. Our wounded warriors and their families depend on the support of their military family and from organizations like the Home Base Program to help improve their lives.
On behalf of a grateful nation, thank you for your continued support to our most precious resource, our men and women of the United States military. Army strong.
In 2009, Massachusetts General Hospital and the leadership from the Red Sox organization came together to create the Home Base program after visiting with injured service members and veterans at Walter Reed Medical Center. During that visit, they learned that the invisible wounds of war were just as debilitating as physical injuries, and they wanted to do something to help. Home Base has been providing world-class care to service members, veterans, and their families ever since, including a Fitchburg firefighter named John Gerord.
John Gerord grew up with a ready smile and a passion for his favorite sport.
I just wanted to play hockey. That's all I wanted to do.
Until one day, when he was on his way to hockey practice, he saw a fire and convinced his dad to stop so he could watch the firefighters.
He's like, you wanna pull over? You're gonna miss practice. And I said, no, Dad, I wanna watch. I wanna see what they do. I think that was like my first time I knew that's what I wanted to do. I looked up to these firefighters as like the greatest guys in the world, and I wanted to be one of them.
That boyhood dream never faded. And when John learned military service could help him land a job as a firefighter, he joined the Army. Less than a year later, the kid from Gardner was a combat medic in Afghanistan.
One thing that I describe about Afghanistan is at nighttime, you can look into the sky and you could see 1 million more stars than you'll ever see here. It was so beautiful, but then in an instant, it could be so ugly.
There was a raid on the base, an all-night manhunt, and then, as his truck rounded a hill, an ambush.
We got hit pretty hard, and our truck got pretty destroyed. I was just in excruciating pain, my head, my back. I felt like, I can't even describe how I felt because everything was just a blur.
The ambush killed his best friend, Ryan Larson.
I was in so much physical pain, but when I found out Ryan didn't make it, I was heartbroken. And that was worse than any broken bone you could have.
A Black Hawk helicopter airlifted John to the first of several hospitals where he would spend the next 14 months. He had a traumatic brain injury, suffered hearing loss, and hurt his back and hip.
I felt like I was so alone, you know? I felt so guilty about Ryan, and so I kind of just went through the steps. So if the Army wanted me to rehabilitate in my back, you know, I just went to that. If they wanted me to go to these cognitive and occupational rehabilitations, I went to. Like I said, I didn't even want to be around. I just told them whatever they wanted to hear. Everything changed in one night. I was sitting in my father's office, and the lights were out, and I just wanted to be alone. I wanted to, I don't know what I was doing. I did it all the time. I just wanted to exclude myself from the world. And my mom came in, and she sat down, and so she was like, you know, she said, John, you know, it's okay. And I said, what's okay, Mom? And she's like, it's okay to hurt. And I said, no, I don't hurt, Mom. And she's like, John, I'm your mother. I know. And it's okay. Like, you can go get help. And when I was talking to somebody, and they'd be like, oh, you know, I understand what you're going through, or it's okay, like, I'm here to help you. I know about these things, or something like that. And it's like, I kind of wanted to like stare them in the face and be like, you know, what do you know? Like, can you go ahead and put your feet in my shoes and tell me how I feel about what happened to me? And, you know, if I had said it, you know, I mean, I think I might have scared somebody, because I'm not a small kid.
But when he came to home base, something felt different.
This gentleman from the home base program was like, I'm here to help you. And I'm like, yeah, I hope so. And he's like, John, he's like, I'm a United States Army veteran, and I've been there. And I was like, thank God. And I don't think I hugged him, but I know I wanted to. I could finally take like a deep breath and just relax my shoulders and be like, finally, like, here he is. Here he is, this guy will help me. Like, and he won't, and it was like a feeling that he had my back. Like that I was back with my group, you know what I mean? And he wouldn't let anything come from behind me and take me over. He was there to help. The best thing that they did for me was that they made me like relive what happened. Talking about it, and not really reliving it, but rememorizing all of it. It made me accept it a little bit. It made it easier for me to talk about.
And talk about it, he did. Almost 5 years after treatment, John was the keynote speaker at the 2015 run to home base.
I knew I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to help people because so many people helped me.
The run that starts and ends at Fenway Park, raising funds for home base and their mission to heal the invisible wounds of war. For any veteran listening in the crowd, John wanted to show that there are success stories.
My true, honest goal was to make sure that I helped at least one person that day maybe get over an illness or a invisible wound of war that they didn't want to let go of before. The war is overseas, and it shouldn't be, we shouldn't be fighting our own war in our head when we come home.
John's smile is back. As for his childhood dream, he's living as a Fitchburg firefighter.
The person I am today, it's like, man, it's like night and day, because I like making people laugh, you know what I mean? I like joking around. If I was not treated and helped out through the home base program, I'd probably be a miserable, grumpy old man. Life's awesome. I love the fact that I'm still here, and I love the fact that I work here, and you know, I find a reason to smile every single day.
The care John and others receive at home base is provided at no out-of-pocket cost to them. If patients have insurance, home base bills it. If not, home base covers it completely. They can only do this because of viewers like you who contribute to their mission to heal the invisible wounds of war. The phone bank is open right now. You can call in a donation toll-free at 877-704-8387. You can text to give by texting VETERANS at 91999, upper lowercase texting doesn't matter, and you can contribute online at homebase.org/donate.
Hi, I'm Seth Moulton, Congressman from the 6th Congressional District of Massachusetts. I'm also a veteran who served 4 tours of duty in Iraq. I'm grateful for the services provided by the Home Base program because I know fellow Marines who have benefited from them. From groundbreaking clinical research to crucial veteran outreach programs, the Home Base program is doing important work to make sure veterans are in a position to succeed when they come home. I want to extend my sincere thanks to the Home Base program, and I urge you to join me in standing up for those who stand up for our country. And to those who have served, I thank you for your service.
The folks at Home Base are quick to point out that not every veteran returns from war with post-traumatic stress. But if they do, Home Base can help. They have evidence-based treatment and complementary alternative treatments that address the varying degrees of symptoms, and wellness-based programs for veterans who may have no symptoms at all. One of the lighter touch programs is called Resilient Warrior, currently presented in collaboration with and held at UMass Boston. Gary Gillis has more.
When's the last time an instructor encouraged students to tune her out? Well, if this group of veterans looks a bit disengaged to you, that actually means they're doing something right.
Think about your word, phrase, or image that represents your focus.
It's all part of Home Base's Resilient Warrior class, one of the lighter touch programs offered in the community.
So the Resilient Warrior program is an effort to increase resilience amongst our veterans, and by increasing resilience, we're hoping people will become more adaptable during stressful situations, to be able to manage stress better by becoming more adaptable.
It can evoke positive memories.
Stress is a part of everybody's life, but particularly when you've been deployed and come back to an environment that is just very different than what they've even remotely seen while being deployed. And so the stress factor just goes up tremendously.
The word I concentrated on was forgiveness.
Giovanni Livingston knows that because he lived it.
Just the transition of being from military to civilian life is very hard for military personnel. And most of them have these expectations, and some of them are not false, but very far from being what they think it should be.
Resilient Warrior is learning about a whole different way to deal with that reality.
I want to try and get a sense of what is the difference when you are relaxed.
Incorporating mind-body techniques that allow veterans like Michael Simon to stop, reframe, and refocus.
But coping, but using your kind of internal viewpoint, kind of going in and focusing on the breath and things like, visual imagery, and just being able to kind of detach yourself.
Very positive feedback from the individuals who do the Resilient Warrior course and our integrative therapies, so that includes yoga, Tai Chi, etc., that we do as part of our intensive program.
When you're not stressed, you're not so focused on your own sort of stuff going on, you can actually be empathetic towards someone else.
Offered at area colleges and universities as a 6-week class, Resilient Warrior is open to student and non-student vets alike. Student vets get 1 college credit for taking the course. Giovanni credits Resilient Warrior for improving his life at home.
My wife, she's seen a big change in me.
Michael Simon is now applying the training he had as a Navy corpsman in a new but still stressful arena as a paramedic. The skills he's acquired at Resilient Warrior can sometimes be the best medicine.
I find myself being, more tolerant, really more, empathetic.
I'm Randy Price inside Fenway Park. It is November and there's no baseball being played on this field. They're actually setting up for a football game. BC Notre Dame will face off here on November 21st. It's going to be an exciting event for sure. But our favorite day at Fenway is usually held in July. It's the annual Run to Home Base, presented by New Balance.
One of the great days all year that we have at Fenway Park is the Run to Home Base.
Everyone's really excited. It's pretty early in the morning, but people seem very ready to go. Should be a great day.
The folks who participate in the Run to Home Base share a commitment to helping service members, veterans, and their families heal from the invisible wounds of war, post-traumatic stress, and traumatic brain injury.
We're running for wounded warriors affected by combat stress disorders.
I am running for my son, who is my hero.
We have people that put in their lives on the line every day, and it's a great way to show appreciation.
I see the veterans all over the place.
becomes personal for me. They deserve it. All the help they can get.
Who will you run for? Your nephew? Your cousin? Your country?
What I've done is basically put a bunch of names on yellow ribbons to support soldiers that had served and are no longer with us, so we can carry their name and legacy on.
You can run on your own or as part of a team. You choose. The experience starts and ends at historic Fenway Park.
Nearly 2,400 runners and walkers here today. And most importantly, 320 actively serving military from every branch of the service.
Thanks everybody for being out here today.
If you've ever participated in the run to home base, you get a lump in your throat. You know what we mean.
So I came home. I would tell everybody I was okay. I felt okay. I looked in the mirror and I saw somebody else. My mother lost a brother to PTSD. He committed suicide after Vietnam. And she knew all too well what I was going through, and she was scared. She begged me to get help. I've seen your work success, not through my eyes, but from my heart. Thanks for keeping me alive. So thank you.
Thousands of people, including service members, veterans, and their families, coming together at Fenway Park to support home base. It's a truly uplifting and moving experience. Oh, and also, the run is just great fun.
This is the 6th annual Run to Home Base presented by New Balance.
Participants set off for a 9K run or a 2-mile walk through scenic Boston. Then it's back to Fenway. Loop around the warning track past the iconic green monster and finish by crossing home plate with friends and family cheering in the stands.
It's amazing. Just having my brothers and sisters all around me, it's a great experience.
And there's nothing sweeter than crossing home plate, unless it's home plate at Fenway Park.
Go home base! Go home base! Go home base!
Go home base.
Go home base, though.
Join us for the 7th annual Run to Home Base presented by New Balance on July 23, 2016. Registration is now open at runtohomebase.org. Their mission is complete. Ours has just begun.
Congressional Medal of Honor recipient and New England native Ryan Pitts has been in the news many times over the past year in recognition of the role he played in the 2008 Battle of Wanat in Afghanistan. That attack resulted in the most U.S. deaths in a single battle since the start of operations in 2001. When Ryan spoke at the Home Base program's Mission Gratitude Benefit concert, he shared for the first time his own experience with the invisible wounds of war. After hearing him speak, Boston Globe columnist Kevin Cullen wrote a powerful, moving story. And we asked Ryan and Kevin to share that story in a way that it has never been told before.
When the shooting stopped, when the thump of grenades retreated with the vanquished, U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Pitts was lying there, bleeding out of so many places his buddies worried he wouldn't make it.
So born in Lowell, Massachusetts, but grew up in southern New Hampshire. Pretty normal childhood, did normal kid stuff. I enlisted halfway through my senior year and then shipped off for basic training in Fort Sill, Oklahoma that summer. Then on to airborne school, and I was assigned to the 173rd Airborne Brigade in Vicenza, Italy. So when I first got to the 173rd, the unit was still deployed to Iraq. They had jumped in to northern Iraq, done a combat parachute assault. And I just remember being really nervous. Like, all these guys have been at war for a year and I'm the new guy. I know, I've seen enough movies to know that being a new guy is never a good thing.
It was July 2008 in a remote village in Afghanistan called Wanat, and Pitts had somehow managed to hold off the first wave of some 200 Taliban fighters who tried to overrun the base where he manned the observation post.
You know, to me, this was a team effort. I looked around and guys like Jason Bogar standing up and firing back, and Jonathan Ayers manning a machine gun to the death. And I was just trying to keep up with everybody else around me. I was just trying to do my part, just like everyone else. And we did it as a team. I don't think anybody gave more than anyone else. We just did what we needed to do in our respective positions.
As the forward observer, Pitts was knocked to the ground by a barrage of rocket-propelled grenades. Shrapnel ripped through his arms and legs, and Pitts believed he was going to die.
I remember on that battlefield that day, I mean, I'd lost a significant amount of blood. I was kind of relieved to be leaving because I wasn't really in any shape to contribute. But I kind of wanted to just get treated, and then we wanted to go back. And I think my parents said, I told them over the phone that, like, don't worry, they're going to patch me up and I'm going back out. And they got to Walter Reed and asked the doctors, they're like, is he going to go back? And they're like, no, he's not going back anytime soon. So this comes back to that dedication that we have to each other. I mean, I think while we were there, if the unit was in a fight, you know, we wanted to be there with them, and it wasn't because we wanted to be in a fight and there was some glory to be had. It was about, you know, if my brother's in it, I want to be there right there with him.
With great care at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center and the Veterans Administration Hospital in Manchester, New Hampshire, his most obvious wounds healed. But back home in southern New Hampshire, his wife Amy noticed the wound no one could see.
But yeah, there were some times where I'd realize that, you know, either his mind was somewhere else, or I'd think, you know, maybe he's just busy or he's not remembering. But more frequently, of realizing that, you know, maybe your memory isn't as great, and maybe it's something that we need to acknowledge, that it's not just, you know, being a normal guy and having selective hearing. I think that the short-term memory is an issue.
I think after time, she saw that, you know, I was impacted by I don't think any of us come back the same person. We are all changed by what we go through. I mean, it was something that wasn't, I work through and, you know, here's a month later, I've processed it. It's kind of ongoing. I think it's still ongoing today. You know, people ask me, how has your transition been? I was like, well, I'm still transitioning. I think I'll spend a lifetime transitioning and processing what's happened.
At Amy's urging, Ryan Pitts went back to the VA and was diagnosed with traumatic brain injury. He got treatment and he got better.
The physical wounds have taken their toll, and we're still learning about the invisible ones. And I think those are probably the greater threat to my generation coming back, because they're so misunderstood. I mean, I've had friends that don't want to go get treatment. They don't want to be seen as crazy, or they feel like it's weak.
On Monday, the night before Veterans Day, Ryan Pitts stood on the stage at Symphony Hall and told of his own invisible wounds for the first time. He did so at an event to support Home Base.
Ladies and gentlemen, Medal of Honor recipient, Staff Sergeant Ryan Pitts. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending this special evening to show your support for the Home Base program.
I really like their approach. You know, it being holistic, it's about the family too. You know, anybody can get treatment. I like that if you had health insurance, great. If you didn't, you'd never receive a bill. It's about taking care of people.
Pitts suffered in his own way. 8 of the 9 soldiers who were killed in action that horrible day in Wanat died at his position, and he blamed himself.
But then I don't even know when it happened or what caused it. I just tried to think from, you know, what would they want? You know, what if it had been me in their shoes and they weren't mine? And, you know, we owe it to everybody that that didn't make it to live lives worthy of their sacrifice. It is tough sometimes when you have a friend that's struggling, and you maybe try to align some resources for them to go get help, and then they're like, nah, I'm okay. It's gonna be on your own terms. You gotta be ready for it. It's a delicate balance of pushing them and telling them it's okay, and hoping that they'll go get some help, but not doing anything to pull them down. I don't want to be telling them that they're broken. I shouldn't be. Who am I to tell?
6 years after he saved countless lives in battle, Ryan Pitts is still saving lives. His words are as powerful as the grenades that kept death at bay in a godforsaken place called Wenat.
You've been watching Homebase's Veterans Day special. Homebase is a partnership of the Red Sox Foundation and Massachusetts General Hospital. The organization is supported by people like you who join in the mission to heal the invisible wounds of war for service members, post 9/11 veterans, and their families. Homebase staffers will continue to man the phone bank until 9 o'clock tonight. You can call in a gift toll-free at 877-704-8387. Or you can text to give by texting veterans to 91999, upper lowercase texting doesn't matter. And you can contribute online at homebase.org/donate. It is Veterans Day. 1 in 3 veterans returns with an invisible wound of war. This is your chance to do something for those men and women who have fought and secured our freedom. If every person, every one of us watching, gave $10, imagine the effect that would have. Imagine the direct impact on the lives of these warriors and their families. Their mission is complete, but ours has just begun. On behalf of Homebase, thank you for watching, thanks for donating, and good night.